God, what is looting and rioting? What is that really doing? It's something. I'm like, ask your city, ask your mayor what that riot did. That couple billion,
Right.
and they got to
Right.
come out. Yeah, I
Now,
mean, sounds good.
now I know it's also hurt black businesses too, because there's some black businesses that have been looted, unfortunately, but luckily there is business, insurances that can cover these businesses. And that's the cost of doing business in the city, pretty much. It's the cost of
And
doing business in the city.
to be honest with you,
unfortunately, when there's civil unrest such as this.
right?
I mean, in '67, MLK, that was another civil unrest. In '92, where it was Rodney King, and they had it again in 2014. It was Mike Brown. So, I mean, there's always been talks of these rebellions. They want to call them riots, but we call them rebellions because
we call them rebellions.
Yeah, we call them rebellions because that's what we're doing. We're rebelling against the system. I mean, Black Americans, we earn, what is it, about 60 cents for every dollar in the white income. It's not equality. You know what I'm saying? It's not equality, and that's what we're fighting for. The big grand scheme of things is about equality, and eventually we're going to lash out. Eventually, all this oppression, all this mistreatment is going to result in what's happening right now.
It bubbles over, it gets to a fever pitch. And to tell you the truth about the black businesses thing, there's been very few. I mean, I think there's a narrative that we're tearing up black businesses too. I think what I don't like, I mean, of course, I don't want that. I wish there was a mechanism by which we could know, like, specifically what were the black businesses. That's number one. Number two is that we have folks in our midst that didn't care and was just tearing up everything, that didn't look like us, that were, jumping off with the looting and the rioting and the violence and shit like that. Not to say we weren't doing some of that too, because I know we were, and I'm glad we were, because we needed to. But I think some of the mindless violence and some of the mindless looting and rebellion was not even us. And we have many examples of this.
A lot of footage of that.
Yeah, many. I mean, police even.
Yeah.
People identified as police in Minneapolis.
Exactly.
Right.
Now, I know when we talk about equality, people think that we're talking about the same treatment, which is partly so, but we want things to be equitable. That's the biggest thing. There's a difference between equality and equitable. So
equity,
and that's what black people want. We've put in the equity, the sweat equity into this country.
Right.
We deserve, our fair share, and we haven't been given that.
But of course, and I know we probably got to end it soon, but really what happens is, of course, this is what everybody fears, is, that fear of a black planet. When you have equality on that level, then natural selection kind of starts coming out. Then next thing you know, you're not ahead because, of white supremacy or what we would be called black supremacy. We'd really just be ahead because we're better. And really, white supremacy is a mechanism really for equality, to be honest with you. White supremacy is a mechanism so they can have some type of equality. Really,
in their eyes, straight up, because in their eyes, that's their real fear, is that if they give us an equal footing, then it ain't gonna be equal.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's
you're talking about the original man, right?
Yeah, that's the huge fear, and and they have centuries and centuries. Even if we don't know our own history, they have a lot of evidence to back that up, right? They have a lot of stolen legacy to back that up. There's a lot of stolen inventions. They claim a lot of the things that are some of Europeans' claim to fame. They have a lot of what I would call evidence to back that up. But
they definitely do. They have the museums. Museums are full of stolen artifacts from different countries, especially Africa. I mean, a lot of the patents that are around today was because during those times that those things were created, our people weren't allowed to have patents. They had to go through their,
right.
their owner, their slave master, in order to get that patent. And they,
Or the
the slave
patent was
master
just
came.
stolen.
Yeah,
Or the
it was
patent
stolen.
was stolen.
Or it
Because
was
we did
stolen.
have some patents.
So
Yeah, or they were outright stolen. That's right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, you know. So how convenient, right? But
Right.
but you know, it's just there's a lot economically that's going on with regard to looting and boycotts and economic pressure. I just think economic justice is a huge part of what we should be on our agenda. Um, so economic justice, meaning basically reparations. And it's interesting because Bob Johnson, I don't know who saw the Bob Johnson Breakfast Club interview, but I watched that. And, Bob said, I think he put out the number 13 trillion. That might be a little bit low. The ones I've really kind of looked at, people that have done some real research. I don't know how much research he's done. He might have just kind of heard that. That's been a popular number. But I've heard 20 to 25 trillion. And they were saying over a span of some amount of years, like $20,000 a year to every Black American or something. We can work it out. It's not impossible, but that's one huge thing that right now is going to be the best time for us to really get that moving and get it underway. Because as soon as those reparation talks started getting popular, the Black media started kind of putting that on the tips of everybody's tongue, to where you had these presidential candidates talking about it. They had to answer to it every time they went somewhere.
Right.
And I think it's died down a bit. And what they were saying at that time was, it's too great a number. We wouldn't be able to do that. We couldn't figure out the logistics. Boom, you got a pandemic. All of a sudden, we push out several $1 trillion in a matter of weeks.
Yeah.
So that's all lie.
So the money's there.
You know now that was all lie.
The money's there. The money's there.
It was all lie.
Right. It's like we can't give y'all reparations without y'all catching up. That's it. We just don't want y'all to catch up.
Because if you think about this too, Bob Johnson put it in a really clear way, and I've heard this metaphor before. So think of somebody running a race. If Mo started 30 yards ahead of me and we're running at the same pace, I can never catch up. It's impossible to catch up. It's just factually impossible to catch up if you go on the same rate of speed that somebody got a head start.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's what I'm saying. That's we ain't talking about. We talk about 400 years.
400 years of head starts, right?
And you talking about white wealth 10 times greater. So the average median income of a white family is $170,000. Not median wealth, I think $170,000. The average of a black family, the average wealth of a black family is about 10 grand.
And
sure?
I've heard a lot of different analogies.
I've heard lower, but the one I read today was 10 grand. No, I'm saying average of a middle class black family.
Okay.
10 grand. Yeah. That's what I meant. That's what I read today.
And I've heard
black family is about 10 grand.
And I've heard a lot of different analogies when it comes to breaking down the wealth gap and how it started. I think there's been a social media post going around on how a lady's describing it in terms of Monopoly game. It's like you're playing the game of Monopoly, and for 400 years, all your money goes to the white people. You earn all this money, but you don't get any of it. Then for another 50 years, you build the Black Wall Street, you build up the black economy, and they come and take it away from you because they don't like the way you're playing the game. You know what I'm saying? So, it's really crazy how all this has come about, and there's only really one way to rectify this whole thing, and that is through reparations. And it makes a difference when it comes from a billionaire Bob Johnson and not just somebody on the street saying it. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
somebody has to wake up. Somebody has to listen.
Yeah.
And
That economic justice is only a piece of it, because then you got legal justice as well. So because he said he talked about a famous quote from Malcolm X. What do you call a black man with $1 million?
oh yeah, a nigga.
A nigga.
Right.
So he gave some examples of how he got this 200-acre horse farm that his daughter rides horses on, because she's an equestrian or whatever. That's what she did growing up. And he was going, he decided to go down to Virginia and check out the horse farm, check on his daughter or whatever. He said there was a guy doing some work there. He was doing some plumbing or something. He was at the entrance, and he was like, "Hey, if you going in there to mop, you better go ahead and mop, because I'm about to cut off all the water, because I gotta do some plumbing stuff." And he said he looked at him. He said, "Nah, I don't think I'll be mopping today. I think I'm just gonna go ride some horses." And he said the dude looked at him like, "This nigga gonna go in here and just ride this
Who's that nigga on that horse?"
Like, it just really didn't. He couldn't fathom. He couldn't even begin to fathom that this man owned this 200-acre $1 million property.
Right.
So that stuff we won't change. We won't change.
Right, and that's just the start. That's just the start.
I mean,
reparations is the start. Reparations is the start, because there's inequality across the board. There's inequality when it comes to education. There's inequality when it comes to access to wealth, access to credit, access to funds, period. Trying to buy homes, which is the building block for building wealth in the family, in your family. You know what I'm saying? So there's inequality across the board.
To be very honest with y'all, and not to kind of cap it on a somber note, I always put responsibility on us. And I know, of course, not trying to act like, what about black on black crime? but at the same time, when I'm talking about our mentality, I think that's really all that has to change. The only reason economics won't work really is because our mentality won't change. We're second-class citizens mentally.
But Trey, that comes because of access to education. That's the inequality there too.
But not really, brother. Not really. Because think about it. Not really. Because think about it. How much black pride did you get going to Montgomery Bell Academy?
That's not where I sought out my information though. You know what I'm saying? I didn't expect for them to tell me. I sought that out. I sought that out through my parents at home. Yeah. I sought that out through my parents at home. I went to summer camps at Tennessee State. Access to education. That's where it starts. That's where it has to start.
And that's all I'm saying is the only reason a white man looks at himself like he does is because he, of course, learns about his history. Now, I definitely understand what you're saying about, it starts at home, but that's what I'm saying. Even learning at home is education.
Yeah.
So if we're saying lack of education, it's really the parents. It's like, they got to teach their children that shit. Of course, sometimes we don't know about black kings and queens and whatever else we need to know about.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We might have known, we might have had parents that knew that, but we have a whole 2-3 generations that have no idea that we had universities 2,000-3,000 years ago. Exactly. We got whole generations that don't know we began metallurgy 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years ago, and 1,000 years before Greeks and Romans. We got whole generations that have no earthly idea that the man who was building the best car before Henry Ford was a black man.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's, to me, that's access to education. I mean,
it is. It is.
It's education.
It's knowing your own. But I agree with you, Trey, because if those things will change much slower, because we have no idea who we are, and we still have a second-class citizenship mentality. We can have. Look at the millionaires today. You can have $10 million, and you still act like a nigga because you think that you're less than.
Nigga, they drop off. You can have Exactly. You can have millions of dollars. Nigga, they drop off guns in the fucking neighborhoods. They drop off guns to gangsters, to killers in the neighborhoods. It's their mentality that makes them not sit there and turn it on their own oppressors. Instead, they turn it on each other, because it's that mentality. So I feel what you're saying, and I guess I always bring it back to, I'm not really religious, but still bring it back to the Bible a lot of times. I bring it back to Scripture. Scripture says that we have a covenant with Satan. So basically, this shit won't break until we mentally are not fixated on white people. And the Bible also says that's why he had to break pretty much the wealth of Babylon. You understand what I'm saying? The wealth had to be broken. The economy had to crack and crumble. So that's because that's really the only thing that's going to break us. Other than that, we're still oohing and ahhing over America and thinking this shit is just the greatest and this is the best civilization we'll ever get.
And to me personally, that is all education, my friend. That is all access to the education. If you think about it, they can Google anything and be able to find it at the tip of their fingers. We can't immediately access. We can immediately access black information, black history that goes all the way back to Africa. We can't do that, unfortunately. But that's what I mean with access to education. That's what I mean by it.
I feel what you're saying, but that's kind of what I mean as well. We can get on Google and pretty much access everything. You could tell, you could literally sit a million people down, a million black people down, and tell them, yes, we were kings in Africa. All that. You can give them the whole history. You can have them watch Hidden Colors 1 through 5, 1804. You can have them watch everything. That literally doesn't mean it's going to change. That's my thing. It's like it's lack of education and access to education.
No, it won't be immediate.
It's like, so I feel what you're saying, but it's like, is it just access to education? Because hell, nigga, what don't you have access to now?
I think that's part of it. That is all part of the whole. That's a part of the whole. Like we talked about access to education. Right. We talked about access to wealth, access to credit, access to, all that I think comes together to make the whole.
I think I see where you come from with it, Trey, in the fact that it's the psychology. But I think that psychology is pushed by such a long time of not having that access to education. Us just now getting proper access to education ain't gonna turn nothing around quickly. But it's gonna take that psychology changing for us to make any kind of real strides in where we are in this country. So
and
that
I agree.
Psychology, that psychosis, it's a psychosis. It's a mental condition that we have as a people.
And I agree.
You broke it.
And I agree. And my only thing is, I think that it's going to take a very painful chastisement to break it. That's my only thing. Yeah. It takes George Floyd type situations. It takes death. Yeah. You understand? It takes destruction. Yeah. That's my only thing. I wish we could break that cycle without the death and destruction. But that's why I'm like, I'm saying the Bible even says the economy has to break. Do you know what kind of death and destruction is going to come when the economy collapses? So it's like, I feel you, but like, I hate the fact of what I know it's going to have to take for us to really have it. Because it is the access to education. I agree with everything y'all saying. Access to education, access to money, access. I agree with everything you're saying. But I'm just saying, even with access to all of that, it's going to take, a catastrophe, really. Because honestly, even America, that's why America does these false flag operations on each other. Because really, catastrophe brings the nation together, like 9/11. Catastrophe brings the nation together under one cause and one banner and one fight. You understand what I'm saying? So that's kind of what the universe has in store for us, because we really not going to break that chain alone. It's going to take catastrophe.
It'll take catastrophe and it'll take time. It won't take just one catastrophe. It won't take just two.
Take just one.
No, it won't take just two. It'll have to happen enough over a period of time to where there's an awakening as a whole. You know what I'm saying?
And it's crazy because I believe almost that's somewhat what we're going through. I know the Quran speaks of how, Allah plans and, the devil plans and you pretty much push along things degree by degree. And if you notice, like literally ever since the tornadoes hit Nashville, we haven't been able to really get a chance to breathe, to be very honest with you. Like we've been hit with hit after hit ever since that tornado hit us. You know what I'm saying? So it's just crazy. It's like, damn, like now this is happening, these riots is happening, it's like, shit, are we gonna be able to breathe before something else happens? So, you know, hell, we might be going through. I think we're going through a piece of, you know, these catastrophes and this chastisement as we speak, and I think we are kind of turning around. So I'm kind of excited to see, you know, what Black people have in store for us, really, because we only way we can go is up. That's the beautiful thing about being
we don't have nowhere to go but up.
That's true.
We have nowhere to go. We ain't got nothing to lose.
Man, the positive
what your president say? What do we have to lose? What did your president?
He was so right.
He wasn't wrong about that. I said that at the time. I said he ain't wrong about that, but he on some trick game shit. He was not wrong about that. But I mean, I'll say this. I have been very encouraged, even just over the last, like, even more so today, because of what's going on and how we're kind of getting on code. But I've been encouraged over the last 2 to 3 years, honestly, because I've been seeing like a sea change in just, it started off as just certain sects of us getting on code and not accepting this and not, and we're, it seems like the spell of the Democrat Republican thing is lifting.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We're not really believing in that shit no more. Not many of us anyway. You got the old guard, butter biscuit eating motherfuckers. It's the Democrats. Right. You know, we got to vote Democrat. But you know, we're all not seeing that as the only way anymore. We're like, okay, well, why do I need to choose between the lesser of two evils? Right. Like, why do I have to choose between a guy who spits anti-black vitriol, you know, with the Central Park 5 and with his discrimination, his housing, who spits all that stuff out his mouth. And I got to choose between that guy and a guy who actually put together the prison industrial complex. He's responsible for it. Right? Wow. Like, that's who I got to choose from. This guy actually put that shit together. Like, damn. Like, why do I have to choose either one of these guys?
But to me, like, all what you said, Charles, it's become, it comes down to me as education. It still does, because we have more knowledge of what has happened, why it's happening. I got a few numbers for y'all. I mean, since 1960s, you know, we've upgraded our high school education from 54% to 92% in 2018. College-wise, it's from 9% to 23%. And that's all according to the Economic Policy Institute. But blacks, you know, us as a people, us as a whole, we're more knowledgeable now. Like we said, we have more access to information due to the internet. We have better access to communicating with each other with social media, the smartphones, what have you. And I think it really boils down to this education. And I think as time goes on, the better the technology, the more we're going to know, the more informed we're going to be, and the better we'll be as a whole. Because, I mean, you think about it, look at all the black businesses that are out there now compared to even 5 years ago, 10 years ago. There's so many more of us more knowledgeable of how to gain access to wealth. They say T.I. and Killer Mike own half the west side of Atlanta, right? So
I heard that too, though.
They say that she was just kind of talking. They own a lot of stuff, but, you know, that was something that she said to try to like discourage people from handing shit up. But they own a lot. They own a lot down there. She was saying a bit much, but they own a lot of stuff. They own some bunch of houses and duplexes,
a lot of property,
little apartments.
Yeah, convenience stores, barbershops. Yeah, they own all types of stuff.
Yeah, they do.
That's why they be calling it Wakanda. They be like, yeah, this is Wakanda.
Yeah, I know, right? I don't think at any point that stuff was in danger. And I don't even know why she even said that. Well, ain't nobody messing with
with the west side.
No, man, ain't nobody messing with their stuff like that specifically. Like, and the people that would mess with it, if we seen them down there, like, they get rolled on real quick. Like, what's this white dude doing in this mask on the west? They scared to come over there anyway. They're not tripping. They're not stupid. Like come on now.
But there are a lot of black businesses that have gotten hit, though. I mean, there are a lot that have gotten hit.
I'd be interested to know some numbers.
Sure.
I really don't think Yeah. I just don't really think it's been that. I think it's been exaggerated.
To try to slow down
like
the rebellion.
yeah. And like I said, even if it has, I don't think we have been responsible for that. Because I think in our cities, we know which ones are the black businesses, like the people that come there. Like, maybe it's outsiders or something. But
that's what I've been hearing. It's mostly the outsiders that may not even know that it's a black-owned business.
Have no idea.
Yeah. So that's what I'm been hearing as the reason.
That's kind of what it is. I hate that.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is.
And that's always seemed to be the case. Outsiders come, want to tear up stuff that ain't theirs. They don't care. But it's important.
Well,
it's important.
Yeah, I was gonna say at the same time, it's important.
It's important. Yeah, it's all a part. It's a part to the whole, like we've been talking.
It's like ripping the Band-Aid off. It hurt, but that wound ain't gonna heal without getting some air to it.
All right.
That being said, fellas, I think this has been a great discussion. I think we could pick this up, in a few weeks and see where we are and what decisions we've made collectively, what kind of economic justice has been, meted out of this, because there's some things on the table right now. There's some legislation. There's some things that are going to go through in the next few weeks. But, with that being said, man, I think we can wrap it up and we can consider further, what types of things we can do economically to put that type of pressure on the government, on society, to get the changes that we need.
I can dig it. Great episode, gentlemen.
Great. We've seen a lot of it already. I mean, I just had to say this one last thing. We've seen a lot of it already kind of happening with the police being prosecuted, and arrested and charged and arrested in a lot of these cases. So
that took 7 days of quote unquote rioting.
It took a lot of time, but that is progress from.
No, that's nothing, bro. Oh, hold on. That ain't a lot of time. Let's just get back into this real quick.
7 days is
not a lot of time at all. 7 days is a blink
compared to what we've done in the past. Yes,
exactly. Compared
it is
to
a lot of
not
time
being charged at all. Compared to it taking months to charge officers.
Yeah, of course.
Compared to that's what I'm saying.
But I'm talking about compared to what we go through. We get right away. They don't take any 7 days. That's what I'm talking. That's where I'm going with it.
I'm talking about in the scheme of things. Yeah. We know it should be immediate.
Yeah.
We know with other folks it's immediate.
Exactly.
But I'm saying,
but it's progress
compared to what has happened in the past. Like it took 7 days of us turning up to get some shit just changed over and turned over. So,
right.
But great discussion, fellas. Great discussion.
It's a wrap.
This has been BMBA. Boss Moves with Business Acumen, aka Boss Moves, putting in work for another one. And make sure you visit our website, bmbainvesting.com. Check us out.
That's right. We also have a social media. We also have social media now. It was the Boss Moves _BMBA. Check us out on IG. Send us a shout out. Hit us up. Give us your feedback.
YouTube, all of that.
YouTube. That's right. Twitter. We're on there.
Everybody have a great night.
Family, till next time. Thank you.
That's right. Great.
Take care of yourself.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.